Prince Andrew relinquishes royal titles amid Epstein scrutiny. Prince Andrew announced on October 17, 2025, that he will no longer use his royal titles, including Duke of York, following discussions with King Charles III. The move comes amid renewed scrutiny over his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and ahead of the release of a posthumous memoir by Virginia Giuffre, Nobody's Girl, a memoir of surviving abuse and fighting for justice, set to publish on October 21st. Giuffre, who died in April 2025, wrote the book recounting alleged sexual encounters with Prince Andrew when she was 17. The prince has repeatedly denied wrongdoing but settled a civil lawsuit with her in 2022 for an undisclosed amount. In the United States, lawmakers are pressing for the public release of remaining Epstein-related files as investigations into his network continue. The developments have again placed the British monarchy under global scrutiny, highlighting the ongoing fallout from the Epstein scandal and its lasting impact on royal credibility.
He was not stripped of his titles by the king. That takes an act of parliament. He willingly, under great pressure, surrendered his titles. There is a huge difference. Now we need to look at his housing and stipends.
Predator Trump should be the next to be locked up.
When is Trump going to be stripped of his titles? Anybody who blocks these files needs to be investigated.
Release the Trumpstein files. So Andrew is stripped of his titles, got off pretty easy for violating a young woman and likely many more. Release those Epstein files.
Release the files, not pardon the files.
Mike Johnson needs to be thrown in jail first.
No Kings protests draw millions across U.S. challenging Trump actions. Organizers report nearly 7 million people participated in No Kings protests across the United States on Saturday, October 18, challenging what they describe as President Donald Trump's authoritarian actions. The widespread demonstrations, held in over 2,500 locations nationwide, specifically targeted administration policies such as the deployment of masked federal agents and detentions without warrants. Several Democratic lawmakers, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer and Senator Bernie Sanders, joined the events in various cities. House Speaker Mike Johnson criticized the rallies, labeling them a "Hate America rally," and accusing participants of being Marxists and socialists. President Trump, in a recent interview, denied being a king. Earlier, No Kings rallies in June reportedly drew approximately 5 million participants, indicating a growing movement.
Just got back from one. Mostly older people and families. Were those the domestic terrorists I was warned about?
If you want to see a gathering of Antifa, go to the American war graves in Europe. They all fought politics like Trump's. Respect the veterans.
I am so happy you Americans are fighting back with your voices. Your way of life is worth it. Elbows up, Canada. So if you believe in the Constitution and don't like fascism, what you fought WW2 against, makes you hate America? The worst, most disgusting gaslighting ever.
Democracy doesn't fear protests. Dictators do.
They call it a Hate America rally to make you hate it. It's a Hate Trump rally.
It's shocking that 37% support a fascist.
I saw a lot of American flags flying today for a supposed Hate America rally.
Peaceful protest is 100% American.
U.S. military strikes suspected drug submersible in Caribbean. U.S. military forces conducted a strike on a suspected drug smuggling submersible in the Caribbean Sea on Thursday, resulting in 2 fatalities and 2 captures. President Donald Trump announced the operation and released video footage on Saturday. This incident marks the 6th U.S. military action against suspected drug vessels in the region in recent weeks. The two survivors, identified as nationals of Ecuador and Colombia, are currently aboard a U.S. Navy ship and are slated for repatriation to their home countries for detention and prosecution. President Trump has characterized the expanded U.S. military effort targeting drug cartels as a war. While President Trump stated the vessel was laden with illegal narcotics, the administration has not publicly provided further evidence. The strike follows a military buildup in the area, including B-52 bombers and F-35 fighter jets near Venezuela. Admiral Alvin Halsey, head of U.S. Southern Command, who oversaw these operations, unexpectedly announced his early retirement, with sources indicating he had expressed reservations about the ongoing missions.
If these were actual drug smugglers, why didn't they prosecute them? Why did they rush to send them away so nobody can question them? Seems like they are doing everything they can to get rid of all evidence and witnesses to their supposed attacks. Is this because they know these are not drug boats and the people they are killing aren't drug smugglers? If we have such a great military, capture and convict. Killing people without confirmed cause is abhorrent.
How does anyone survive that?
If there are indeed survivors, I would like to hear their testimony.
I thought they were terrorists? Why would we send dangerous terrorists back?
To survive that well. If this was a Venezuelan drug smuggling submersible, then why are the two survivors of this Venezuelan drug smuggling operation going to Ecuador and Colombia? Also, with the military handing them over immediately to other foreign countries, it prevents the Department of Justice or Congress from scheduling hearings to uncover who they work for, obtain confessions to committing crimes, or confirm evidence of illegal drug activity.
I hate the mainstream media.
Budapest summit aims to restart peace dialogue between U.S., Russia, and Ukraine. President Donald Trump announced that he will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest, Hungary, in the coming weeks after a lengthy phone call between the two leaders. The summit is intended to focus on the ongoing war in Ukraine and follows Trump's recent meeting with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky at the White House. During the Oval Office meeting, Trump expressed reservations about supplying long-range Tomahawk cruise missiles to Ukraine and suggested that both Russia and Ukraine should declare victory and freeze the current front lines to bring about peace. Zelensky reiterated his demand for stronger security guarantees and support from Western allies. Analysts warn that the planned talks mark a shift in U.S. policy. While Trump continues to use diplomatic pressure and the threat of advanced weapons to push for negotiations, he has so far not committed to Ukraine's request for Tomahawks. With thousands of lives lost and the conflict now entering its fourth year, the upcoming summit offers a significant test of Washington's strategy and Europe's role in shaping the terms of any future settlement.
Thank goodness we have a real man running the country, one with a fully functioning brain. Long live the Donald.
Putin doesn't want deals. Putin doesn't want peace. Putin wants Ukraine. Does Trump understand that? I don't understand. At least he is trying to end the wars. Why are people so against that?
Where is the UN? Nowhere. Trump is dealing with all the wars in the world. The UN is a dead organization. Tomahawks to Ukraine is merely leveling the field. Russians have been using hundreds if not thousands of similar weapons from the beginning of the invasion war. We voted for you, Mr. President, we're with you all the way, 100%.
Long live the Donald.
Ukraine war is nothing but a bloody money pit.
U.S. strikes killed 27 in Caribbean, Venezuela and Colombia. Condemn. U.S. forces have conducted a series of missile strikes in the Caribbean, resulting in at least 27 fatalities since September and drawing strong condemnation from Venezuela and Colombia. The most recent strike occurred Thursday near Venezuela's coast, marking at least the sixth such operation since September. The operations are part of an anti-drug campaign, with President Donald Trump accusing Venezuela of fueling drug flows and authorizing CIA covert operations within the country. Venezuela has denounced these actions as extrajudicial executions and formally requested a UN Security Council investigation, asserting they aim to destabilize President Nicolas Maduro. Colombian President Gustavo Petro condemned the strikes as international aggression and murder, citing the alleged death of a Colombian fisherman and violations of national sovereignty. Amid escalating tensions, the United States has deployed warships, fighter jets and troops to the region.
According to America, if you have oil, it means you need freedom. War is hell. Stay out of the firing line.
Both his country and Venezuela are huge suppliers of death drugs to the US and the world. Now this drug leader is trying to protect the other drug leader. It's like if the cops come after the mob enough in a US city, at some point they feel desperate enough that they have to unite with the other city mobs and fight and criticize the cops together to keep their corrupt drug business going.
These are killers delivering poison to America and the world. Too bad, so sad. Stop sending your poisons here and you won't have to worry about us sinking your poison-filled boats. Got it? Fishermen don't have $100,000 speedboats. There are Venezuelans in Colombia and Colombians in Venezuela. America does not care what their nationality is. It cares about the illegal activity they were involved in.
Drugs are bad.
Asks the UN, that's a joke. We do not care about the UN, or what it says. Targeting drug smugglers, what's the big deal?
They're doing what all corrupt nations do. Accuse the other of being a monster while being a monster.
Iran nuclear deal restrictions expire, drawing mixed global reactions. Restrictions on Iran's nuclear program under the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, JCPOA, formally expired October 18, 2025, prompting Russia to affirm its support for Tehran and drawing criticism from Western nations. Western nations, including the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, condemned these developments, having already triggered a snapback mechanism in late August to reimpose United Nations sanctions, citing Iran's non-compliance. Russia, however, announced the formal expiration of all remaining UN restrictions on Iran, criticizing Western efforts to reimpose sanctions as illegal and signaling continued bilateral cooperation. U.S. President Donald Trump, who previously withdrew from the JCPOA in 2018, called the original agreement a disaster, but suggested Iran now wants to make a deal. He also referenced U.S. military actions, including Tomahawk missile strikes on Iranian nuclear sites, which occurred in June 2025 as part of the Iran-Israel war. Concurrently, Russian officials have reiterated their long-standing criticisms of Western nuclear policies and the deployment of U.S. nuclear weapons in Europe, asserting Russia's reciprocal deterrence measures.
Interesting. Looks like Putin will deploy missiles in Cuba again. Maybe Venezuela, or Brazil. Mr. Trump remembers Cuba.
Iran gets sanctions, Russia gets sanctions, but why are there no sanctions for Israel's crimes?
Yet another unreasonable American act, putting nukes next to Russia, while not allowing nukes to be placed in Cuba or other South American states. Is it not clear to all that the US does not seek to reason with you? It only knows how to demand and expect obedience all the time. Why should a country with more nukes than the US stand for this kind of nonsense? Put the nuke in Cuba.
Mr. Putin will supply nuke to Cuba and Iran.
We stand with Russia.
The ones complaining about Iran's nuclear program are always silent about Israel's nuclear program. Either tell both sides of the story or shut up.
The only way the US can act like a normal country is for Russia and China to also deploy their nuclear weapons close to the USA. Americans also need to sleep with one eye open.
I don't trust the West. Not ever, and more so now. The West's governments are very dangerous.
Putin demands Donetsk control in call with Trump. Russian President Vladimir Putin demanded Ukraine surrender full control of Donetsk as a condition for ending the war during a nearly 2.5-hour phone call with U.S. President Donald Trump this week, according to senior officials familiar with the conversation. The leaders also focused on a potential summit in Budapest and U.S. efforts in Gaza. Russian presidential aide Yuri Yushakov described the exchange as extremely frank and confidential. President Trump had previously indicated a shift in priority from Gaza to ending the war in Ukraine. During the call, Putin provided a detailed assessment of the situation in Ukraine, emphasizing Russia's interest in a peaceful political and diplomatic solution. Trump, in turn, stressed the need for swift peace in Ukraine. The leaders agreed that representatives, including U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, would begin preparations for a future personal meeting.
Give up now because you have a stupid alliance.
EU will not obey Trump, and so is the clown.
Zelensky follows NATO European Union direction, he will not act on his own. Rubius a joke, and Trump is a puppet who surrounded himself with absolute idiot warmongers.
They will give up the oblasts that Russia said from the beginning. That because they lost the war.
Is it a peace plan for Gaza, or is it a scam of Captain America again? Never trust US and Turkey.
USA have started and supports all wars. The easier way for peace is that USA Army leave and stay home.
Wouldn't trust him, Trump, as far as I can throw him.
Glory to Russia from Canada.
Bus crash in Pernambuco kills 17, injures 17. 17 people died and at least 17 others were injured Friday night when a chartered bus overturned on BR 423 in Slogan, Pernambuco, Brazil. The bus, carrying 30 to 40 passengers, was returning to Brumado, Bahia, after a shopping trip in Santa Cruz do Capibaribe, Pernambuco. Many passengers were identified as merchants from Bahia and Minas Gerais. Federal Highway Police officials reported the driver lost control, causing the vehicle to swerve, hit rocks, and overturn on a mountainous stretch of the highway. The driver, who sustained minor injuries and tested negative for alcohol, told investigators he suspected a mechanical failure, possibly brake failure. Governors Geronimo Rodriguez of Bahia and Raquel Lyra of Pernambuco expressed solidarity and offered support. The injured were transported to hospitals in Garanhuns and other regional health units. Authorities are working to identify the deceased, with identification pending fingerprint records from their states of origin. The Federal Highway Police and Civil Police are jointly investigating the exact cause of the accident.
I pass by the site of the accident every 15 days, and I can tell you that the signage is terrible. The stretches are narrow due to the geographical layout and there are no escape areas, as well as the asphalt being very worn at the moment. The only thing there is a speed camera at the start of the climb, which was put in just after an accident. DNIT should take immediate steps to improve safety on this stretch.
My condolences to all the family.
Mercy, may God comfort the hearts of the relatives.
I'm a truck driver and I see these buses speeding by. Pure recklessness. I don't drive like they do. When accidents happen, it's never a bus without maintenance or a reckless driver. Now they're trying to blame the government. Drive at the right speed and there won't be any accidents.
May God bless the victims. My sincere condolences to the relatives.
My condolences to everyone and their families. May God comfort you all.
Bah, how sad. I wish strength to those who have gone through this, friends and family who have lost their loved ones. I'm sorry for so much pain.
Brazil's Lula defends Venezuela sovereignty amid rising U.S. tensions. Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva on Thursday defended Venezuela's sovereignty at the 16th Congress of the PCDOB in Brasilia, stating no foreign government should interfere in its affairs. His remarks come amid escalating tensions between the United States and Venezuela. The heightened tensions follow reports of increased U.S. military presence and covert CIA operations near the South American nation. These actions, authorized by President Donald Trump, are ostensibly aimed at combating drug trafficking. The situation has raised concerns in Brazil regarding potential immigration surges, border security challenges, and economic impacts, given its extensive shared border with Venezuela. Experts suggest Brazil's diplomatic position is complicated as it seeks to restore relations with the U.S. while maintaining historical ties with the Venezuelan government, potentially hindering its regional mediation efforts.
Congratulations, President Trump, you have to invade Venezuela and free the people from this narco dictator.
To defend dictatorship, this guy will run over anything.
And let's hope that Trump also cracks down on the communist Brazilian press. I'm rooting for the Venezuelans to be freed from this dictator.
The U.S. wants to stop drug trafficking in Venezuela and consequently organized crime in Brazil.
Trump could take advantage of this and take Lula along with Maduro. Brazil would appreciate it.
Thousands protest Trump policies in No King's Day demonstrations. Thousands of demonstrators protested President Donald Trump's policies across the United States and in European cities Saturday, October 18, in an event dubbed No King's Day. Organizers claimed it was the largest demonstration against Trump since his return to the White House in January 2025, with protests occurring in major U.S. cities including New York and Washington, D.C., as well as in London, Madrid, and Berlin. Participants criticized the administration's stances on immigration, education, and security, along with perceived authoritarianism, cuts to healthcare, and the deployment of the National Guard. Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson called the demonstrations anti-American. President Trump did not directly comment on the protests but stated he is not a king. The events took place amidst an 18-day government shutdown and marked the second No King's Day event this year.
King? Maybe emperor? No? Well, dictator fits him perfectly. I thought the presenter was Harry Potter.
The Orange administration keeps talking about being a mature democracy, but it's only a matter of time before it turns into another Venezuela.
Do they get bread and bologna there too?
Millions? Really? Did the University of Sao Paulo go there to count them? Unbelievable. A president who's ending wars and fighting drug trafficking, and they're still against him. These people must have lost their minds.
In Brazil, the only people who still love Trump are Bolsonaro's far-right supporters.
Millions protest Trump policies nationwide under No to Kings slogan. Millions of Americans protested nationwide Saturday, October 18, 2025, under the slogan, No to Kings, rejecting President Donald Trump's policies and what organizers described as an authoritarian turn during his second term. Demonstrations, organized by more than 200 groups including the American Civil Liberties Union and Indivisible, took place in over 2,700 cities across all 50 states, from New York to San Francisco and outside Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence. Participants stated their aim was to assert that the United States is governed by laws, not by a monarch. Protesters voiced concerns over alleged constitutional violations, including racial profiling and disregard for judicial orders in arrests and deportations. In Chicago, thousands marched against anti-immigrant policies, with Artemio Ariala, political director of the Illinois Coalition for Immigrant and Refugee Rights, stating the community is tired of living in fear. Local police presence was largely minimal, and many events were reported as peaceful. Republican leaders criticized the protests, while Democratic figures defended them as a defense of the rule of law and democracy.
In other countries, some are also considered kings. For example, Milei and Noboa. Out Donald Trump is a criminal. Down with the tyrant.
Out with Trump, long live democracy.
Full support for No Kings demonstrations.
The best day of my life, thank you North American people, thank you. Fuera Donald Trump. No kings, no dictators.
It is not hatred of the US, it is against the tyrant President Trump.
Indonesian man dies, another injured in Ibaraki stabbing. One Indonesian national died and another was seriously injured early Friday, October 19, following a stabbing incident in Ibaraki Maki, Ibaraki Prefecture, police reported. Authorities apprehended a man near the scene who is currently being questioned as a suspect. Police responded to a 4:30 a.m. call reporting a 27-year-old man stabbed inside his apartment in Nagaoka. Two foreign nationals were discovered bleeding from knife-like wounds. One man died after sustaining multiple stab wounds, including to the armpits and abdomen. The other suffered serious injuries from stab wounds, including to the abdomen. All three men involved are Indonesian nationals and were acquainted, according to police. The apprehended suspect also sustained minor injuries. Police are investigating the case as a murder and plan to make an arrest once charges are confirmed.
Do it in your own country.
Oh, wait until you get back to your own country.
Opposition to immigration.
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, which grants residency to Core, is to blame. Iwaya is the worst.
Do those things in Indonesia, don't bother Japanese police and hospitals.
Security is deteriorating day by day.
Kishida, what are you going to do about this? Kishida's brother's company is a company that supports Indonesians to work in Japan, isn't that profit sharing?
Millions protest President Trump in No Kings rallies. Millions of people participated in No Kings rallies across the United States on October 18, calling for the resignation of President Donald Trump. Organizers reported demonstrations at more than 2,700 locations in all 50 states, including Washington, D.C., and New York, with an estimated 7 million people joining the protests. This mobilization marks one of the largest against the Trump administration during his two terms, surpassing a similar No Kings event held in June. Participants criticized President Trump's policies, specifically his administration's stance on undocumented immigrants, the deployment of federal agents, and ongoing government agency shutdowns. Many carried placards reading, "No Kings," a sentiment President Trump addressed in a Fox News interview, stating, "I am not a king." He also posted AI-generated videos mocking the protests. The demonstrations extended internationally to countries such as Germany, Canada, and Mexico. Officials largely reported no significant disruptions during the October 18th protests.
There is no credibility in the old media that doesn't report on Japanese demonstrations. Shouldn't Tokyo be demonstrating, too? Governor Yuriko Koike is acting like a queen.
Please make sure to cover the demonstrations happening in Japan.
Is it a gag to report on demonstrations in other countries while not reporting on demonstrations in your own country?
Take the anti-immigration demonstrations that happen in this country every week.
More importantly, take up the Koike Quid demonstration.
Germany, Canada, France, and Mexico are all immigrant countries.
Pikachu's being used, lol.
LDP, Japan Innovation Party discuss coalition government. The ruling Liberal Democratic Party, LDP, now led by President Sanae Takaichi, has entered policy consultations with the Japan Innovation Party, JIP, as the LDP seeks new allies following the departure of longtime partner Komeito. The talks reflect the LDP's urgent need to secure a working majority in the Diet. JIP co-leader Hirofumi Yoshimura indicated that his party is prepared to support Takaichi in the upcoming prime ministerial vote, on the condition that detailed policy agreements are reached. A major sticking point for JIP remains its long-standing proposal to reduce the number of Diet members. The LDP and JIP say they are working to align around major legislative priorities, including security and electoral reform, with the goal of advancing them at the next ordinary Diet session. While no formal coalition agreement has yet been signed, the consultations mark a significant step toward reshaping Japan's governing alliance.
Yoshimura and Fujita are in favor of the Espionage Prevention Act and are pro-immigration control, so I would love to see them in a coalition.
How can Noda say such a thing? He broke every promise he made during his time as DPJ and raised the consumption tax, which he said he would not raise, and it can be said that this made the public suspicious of the opposition party and brought the LDP under the LDP's rule.
Komeito probably left the party thinking that if they left, it would be the end of Takaichi, but you never know in politics until the very end.
Maybe we'd finally have the right number of lawmakers when they're too busy to fall asleep during Diet sessions.
President Takaichi, who has not even become prime minister yet, is about to accomplish the extraordinary feat of switching from Kome to JIP.
The JIP's cancer is that Heizo Takenaka is its advisor.